Sometimes all you need is a nap on the floor. I did so much plant father work today. I keep looking at them. Has anybody else been suspiciously health conscious? I don't know. Just me. Hi. Hello. Welcome back to my witch obsession. And in today's Pick a Deck reading, we will be asking, what do people wonder about you? I've been liking this kind of more casual, laid back, more fun readings. I don't know. I'm just into it, but I do want to do more quote unquote deeper readings. But I think I like to keep those like a more in a once in a while thing, because I feel like just that intense desire to constantly do inner work or constantly healing can sometimes get very discouraging and very draining. At least that's what I think. But yeah, today we have 4 piles. And basically, this topic, I kind of want to focus it on, when people look at you, what do they wonder about you? Or, what do potential admirers wonder about you? Just anybody, just whoever comes through in the reading and whichever demographic seems to, be curious about you the most or be the most curious about you. And yeah, today we have pile 1 with the Everyday Witch Tarot, pile 2 with the Beauty Tarot, pile 3 with the Lovely Omens Tarot, and pile 4 with the Ethereal Visions Tarot. So timestamps will be in the description box below. If you've already chosen your reading, you can proceed, comment, and subscribe along the way. I think that's all I have. But as always, if you like to sit and listen to me ramble for an extra minute or 2 or 3, then hi. Okay, guys. I just feel like yesterday I was just so bitter. I can't explain it. I feel like this heavy energy of just being angry and frustrated and just very overall discouraged just came upon me yesterday. And honestly, looking at it now from a more indifferent and rested point of view, I truly do feel as if though it was kind of this realization of understanding that you're when you really need it, when you really need yourself, it's just being there for yourself and self-love. I feel like for someone like me who is super emotional, I feel like it's defined by showing up for myself when I really, really need it. And I feel like by admitting that out loud, it's just this perspective of understanding that these deep fears of being abandoned or trust issues are from a lack of self-trust or a lack of self-understanding. And I feel like yesterday it was just this epiphany moment where I realized that I really was trying my absolute best to show up for myself when I really needed it. And I feel like I really did overcome it. I feel like I did do what I could. I don't know. I feel like that comes off as very vague, but I just feel like with Pluto moving into Aquarius and with all of this stuff in my 6th house and all of this stuff in my 7th house, it's just about realizing that I've put so much on relationships and that I've put the weirdest things onto other people, and that it should be kind of the other way around. I don't know. But honestly, I've just been learning to detach myself from the circumstances and not letting myself be defined by these circumstances. And I feel like it's done a lot of work for me, I feel like I'm always trying to define myself by my relationships, my appearance, what I'm doing with my free time, how much money I have, I feel like I just allowed myself to get consumed by all of these things because capitalism and stuff. But honestly, I'm just feeling myself letting go of these things. And obviously I still put value in these things. I'm not saying oh, I don't care about these things, but it's just more of I value these things, but I don't let myself be defined by these things. And that's kind of where my true manifestation potential comes in. Oh no. I was watching a few readings by this channel called Esoteric Sky. I love his videos. I will say his videos put me to sleep very often because his voice is just like really relaxing to me. But I always be falling asleep. Like I'll watch like one video by him and I'll be like, all right, let's watch another one. And then next one I'll be falling asleep. But yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I just feel like I've been wanting to attract more into my life and manifest more into my life, but I just haven't known how to. I don't know. One day at a time, y'all. And I don't know, like I feel a lot better today than I have like these past few days. I think that's all I have. I think that's all I have. I don't want to drag this out too long. It's supposed to be like a minute, 2 or 3, not 5 million minutes. So yeah. See you at your reading. Thank you for listening as always. I really appreciate the people that listen to the rambles because like I don't know, like I just like me personally, I don't like it just feels weird letting a complete stranger read for you. I just like I feel like it's nice to know at least like a clue as to who may be reading for you. That's it. That's it. See you at your reading. See you at your reading. Hello, pile 1. If you chose the Everyday Witch Tarot, then this is going to be your reading for What Do People Wonder About You? Now, today we are only doing tarot cards. Like I said, I've been really liking the stripped back feel, and a lot of you seem to be enjoying it too. A lot of people have been like, oh yeah, I'm into it, you know? But, I don't know. I just also find that like pulling a bunch of oracle cards can be very draining, and I feel like as of late like I have been pretty tired, and kind of keeping like the more minimalistic vibe has really been helping me keep up with, you know, like giving you guys readings. I'm not saying I'm like exhausted or anything like that, but you know, just a change of pace, especially with Mercury going into retrograde for Taurus. Fellow Tauruses, y'all know what I mean when I say that we just keep getting tested, and sometimes it feels like it's for no reason. Literally, oh my gosh. It'll all make sense with time. Alright. What do people wonder about pile 1? 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 Let's take this one first. 6 of Pentacles. A lot of people, okay, right off the bat, a lot of people really wonder about like your financial situation. I feel like people wonder like what you like spending your money on and who like gives you money. I feel like maybe for some of you, bottom of the deck is 6 of Cups. Okay. So I'm feeling like a lot of you wonder what your like background is, or a lot of people wonder like who your parents are, or like if you have siblings, you know, because 6 of Cups, you know, is like all about like, at least to me, like a very nostalgic card, you know, childhood, like rose colored glasses, that kind of vibe. And I'm feeling like maybe some of you really like gardening. I don't know. I'm just noticing that this card has like a bunch of plants in it. So you could very well be a Taurus pile 1, but you know, that's besides the point. I'm feeling like with the 6 of Pentacles, like people just wonder like how you maintain this balance in your life and how you're able to kind of like keep that kind of like steady rhythm in your life. And I really do think that people wonder like how you were raised, or like who you're, just like I said, like who your parents are, you know, who you grew up with, what you grew up with. And maybe for some of you, like where you live now is very different from like your cultural background, or like where you are from, you know. So maybe a lot of you could have moved, and as a result, I think that like maybe, you know, your appearance, the way you dress, the way you talk, you know, maybe you have an accent. People are like, where are they from, you know? I'm feeling like people get this feeling, like even if you are like living in your hometown, or like you are in the same vicinity of where you were born, people just get this vibe that like, you know, like how you behave and how you act is just like very like different and out of the norm, especially for like the geography or like where you live. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to describe it as eloquently as possible and make it make sense, but the best way to put it is like people are like, are you even from here, pile one, you know? And also with the Six of Pentacles, I feel like I keep getting like this message of like charity. Like I almost wonder if people think that like you are a very charitable person or you're somebody who is always donating. Like it gives me this vibe of like you are one of those people that whenever you're walking into like a store like Target or something and there's those people outside that are like, "Oh, do you want to donate to this or something?" I feel like you're one of those people that maybe like you do like donate to them, you know? I remember I was walking to Target and these people were asking me for $50 donations. I was flabbergasted. I was like, "Do you have any idea what store I'm walking into right now? That $50 could do so much." But anyways, that's just me. What else do we have here? We also have the High Priestess. I'm feeling like a lot of you have like a very strong intuition. Maybe you read tarot or maybe you're just like really into the occult. I mean, obviously, like you're like ankle deep into this reading so far, but I just want to say like with the High Priestess, I almost wonder if you guys have like a very like spiritual background or maybe you're just like really into divination, you know? Maybe you're one of those people that can like read coffee cups or something like that, or you're just somebody who is just like maybe you take pictures of angel numbers every time you see them, or you know, you always say like, "I think it's a sign," or something of that nature, you know? I feel like people wonder what like your spiritual or like what your religious background is if you are religious. And I feel like maybe sometimes like you can kind of speak things, or maybe you're somebody who likes to jinx things a lot, or maybe you're somebody who like speaks things into existence, or I just feel like you're one of those people that runs into frequent coincidences. I truthfully don't believe in those, but I, you know, it's a word, you know, it's there for a reason. But I'm just, what I'm trying to say by that is like I feel like a lot of you run into a lot of situations that's just like very like wow, like that's so ironic, you know. I feel like there's a lot of irony in your life, especially in regards to like your childhood and anything of that sort. So I feel like a lot of people wonder that about you. Like I just wonder, like people sometimes feel like they have business with you, you know? Okay, I have like this really crazy story in pile one. Like I just want to like express this to you because I feel like this is what people wonder about you and this might be how you meet people. So I had this friend. Okay, so there's two friends. My best, like these two like best friends that I have. One of them was talking to this mutual. And this mutual, like I remember a week before I had met them, let me tell you, they had sent me their birth chart. I was like, wow, they have a lot of Libra in their chart. And then a week later, my other friend was like, "Hey, do you want to visit me at my dorm because I just moved in?" And I was like, "Okay." And then I went down and I went and saw her and I met her roommate. And I remember I was like, "Hey, do you have IG?" And so I grabbed, like, she gave me her phone and I was swapping our Instagrams. And then I got a notification from my best friend on her phone. And I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh, is this my phone?" I was like, "Wait a second." And I looked at her and I was like, "Do you know blank, my best friend?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like blank, blank. Like I said, like their whole name. And she was like, "Yeah, I love them." And like, it was just like, crazy how I met her because like I don't know, like it was just very sus how I met her. I always tell her like I'm like, "Girl, like I swear the universe has unfinished business. Like I swear the universe wanted us to meet." And it was just, you know, and what I'm trying to express by like telling that story is that I feel like people, the way they meet you, they just feel like you were meant to be in their life, and because of that they just wonder like what their business is with you, you know, like what purpose are you here for? And not like in a rude way, but more like there's just no way that pile one just magically came into my life for no reason. Like there is a specific reason that I know this person. And this more applies to like your closer friends, relationships, and like, you know, like lovers and family. For those people that like are above the acquaintance level, you know. But I'm just feeling like with the Six of Pentacles, it's just a sense of like people really wonder like what you're here to set straight, you know? We also have Three of Pentacles. I think a lot of people also wonder how you're able to manage your schedule. I feel like people probably think that like you have like a very hectic schedule or that like you know a lot of people. I feel like people wonder how it is that you're able to network. I think that a lot of you develop I sense a lot of strong air energy from this pile. So like Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Specifically in the sun sign. So like you could be one of those, or you could also have it in the moon. Just in the big three in general, I'm feeling is very like relevant. But I'm just feeling like this very like airy vibe, or like this very like social, very like intellectual energy from this pile. And I'm just feeling like people wonder like how do you meet people and how do you get along with people, or how is it that like you know so many people when you like stay inside all the time, or is it like like people never see you with the same person twice. I just feel like the way you navigate social situations and how you like meet people and how you talk to people, just how you interact with like the population, people wonder about it because they see it as very like it seems so deliberate. It seems as if though like you don't just talk to people for the sake of talking to people, but at the same time it's like you talk to so many people. So it's like how is it that you're able to have so much conviction with your conversations and your interactions despite the fact that you are speaking to so many different people seemingly at the same time too? And also the Three of Pentacles with the Six of Pentacles. People do wonder it is like what do you do for work, or how it is that you're able to, like juggle your schedule and also talk to so many people at the same time. Maybe you're kind of like a person that overworks himself frequently, or you're somebody who's able to like multitask like a freak of nature. I don't know. But I'm also sensing with the Six of Cups, people may have wondered like what your family does, or like like what your parents may do for work. Just a lot of like curiosity, because I feel like your past, or like like your background is just like once again like very like confusing to people. And it's like people like I feel like maybe you give off this vibe of being very open about like your family and your situation, your status, but at the same time it's like people still feel like they don't know enough about you, or people feel like they still don't have enough context about like your lifestyle and how you're able to maintain it, or how you're able to keep at it. And this also like may apply to bosses. I feel like if you have like at your job, or like at a school or something, like teachers, bosses, like coworkers, all of these kind of like these like professional or like political relationships, like these people wonder what it is that like you come from, or what your goals and aspirations are. I'm feeling like you're somebody who kind of keeps their goals close to their chest, and I feel like you are somebody who protects their ambitions. And so as a result, people are like, what's pile one doing? Like what are they, who are they, like where are they trying to go? And so like a lot of questions get like, it's just like hidden in plain sight. You may come off as like a very open and like honest person, and I'm not saying like you're a liar or something, but like people look at you and then like they're like, oh, it's just pile one, they're you never have to guess with them. But I feel like sometimes people like take a second look at you, or if people do like a double take with you, they start to realize, okay, like I don't know about pile one nearly as much as I thought I did. So it's like like I feel like air signs get that rep a lot, or like people don't think about the air signs like that. Like people always look at air signs and they're like, oh, it's them. But then when you like do a double take, you're like, hold up. It makes me think of, oh my gosh, I remember there's this like comedy special from Ali Wong, and the way she said hold up is just like literally how people think of you. Like she said it like this. She said, hold up. Like just like pause everything, hold your horses. Like who is pile one? What are they doing? How do they maintain this lifestyle? How are they getting through the day to day? Who is their parents? And like not in like a rude, accusatory, or like degrading kind of way, but like genuinely people feel as if though for the person that you are, because maybe you're kind of an eclectic person, or you're somebody who is very like ambiguous in terms of like something in your appearance or like your identity, more so your identity, sorry. Maybe you have like a very eclectic way of dressing, talking, or maybe like your energy is very detached, and so like people are like they can't get a clear read on you. I feel like maybe you get that a lot, pile 1. Maybe you're Capricorn rising. You could be a Capricorn rising, or you could be like a Leo rising, I feel. But that's just like a random, those are just random ones. And the reason I'm saying that is because of like that descending, or like the midheaven. I feel like the midheaven is just like, you just have like a very mysterious or very alluring or like very like detached midheaven. It depends, but like, whether or not you have that placement, what I'm trying to convey here is I feel like your reputation is of one of being very like curious and being very different and being very like mysterious. And if you want to know what makes you mysterious, then check out my last video. But I just feel like people think that you are mysterious in a way that's like you're hidden in plain sight, because they seemingly feel like no matter how much they learn about you, they simply still don't know enough. We also have 5 of Swords. I'm feeling like for some of you, like maybe okay. With the context that's been provided in regards to like your social relationships and how you may know a lot of people, with that comes with a lot of ties being cut. And what I'm trying to say is like I feel like people may look at your social media a lot, pile 1. I feel like people who just meet you and they have like they are able to get your social media, they do a fine look over that social media. Let me tell you, pile 1, they don't waste any time. They go through every single post. If you have a full Instagram feed and you have like 10 posts, like 10 pictures on each post, you best believe there are some people that go through the entire profile with like a lice comb. Girl, you do not even know. You're sitting here like, oh, that wouldn't happen, but you'd be surprised. And with the 5 of Swords, I'm feeling like people may notice that like you go through friends a lot, or that like you are somebody who has like a very like large friend group, or you seemingly meet a lot of people. Once again, just something about like your social relationships and the way you like navigate them, people just like feel like that maybe you've said goodbye to a lot of people, or that you've faced some serious losses in your life. You give off this like this vibe of like somebody who has really gone through a lot to get to where they are now, or like somebody who is willing to go through it all to get to where they want to be. I feel like you're a very ambitious, goal-oriented person, pile 1. You're somebody who moves with a lot of intention, and you don't really like doing things for no reason. I feel like you don't like when there's people in your life for no reason. You don't like when you have a job for no reason. Like you're just somebody who likes to have everything in their life be defined and there be a reason for that thing being there. It's just, and as a result, I feel like you can be quite ruthless with getting rid of things or purging things. I feel like you're the kind of person that like maybe you collect a lot, or you just really like things, or like you really like just something about collecting and something about like gaining and bringing more novelty into your life. I feel like there are certain points in your life where you could be the person that hoards, but then once in a while there's just like garbage bags full of stuff you're getting rid of. Like you're just somebody who may be very cyclical with your possessions and like your friend groups. You make a lot of friends, and then with time you shed a lot of those friends and you get rid of a lot of them, or you have like really bad falling outs or something of the sorts. And so as a result, like you just have like this very like you have like kind of like this routine of how you run your life. And maybe because like you're somebody, I'm sensing a lot of Aquarius energy from this pile, like especially within like the personal planets. So you could have like an Aquarius, Venus, or Mars, or Sun, or in like within the personal planets in the big 3, just like major 11th house and Aquarius vibes of being like this. Because I feel like that Aquarius energy, like whether or not you do have major Aquarius placements, the Aquarius energy to me is like believing that you need change and believing that like you need novelty and constant enrichment. But then at the end of the day, you're still following like a strict routine, or you're still following like a cycle of how you invite that change and how you bring novelty in your life. So it's just like there is no routine, but there is like there's a bunch of change, but there's a routine to the change, because I feel like there's a specific way you may like running your life. And as a result, people just kind of like wonder about this routine. People wonder like, how do you go about your life, and how do you like keep it together, and what secrets do you maintain to keep your life going? And with this Aquarius energy that I keep picking up on, like, maybe like some of you live like a very hectic life, or like once again with like that very busy schedule, or like you seemingly are always on like some kind of chaos. And so as a result, people are probably like, oh my gosh, like how does pile one like do anything? Like they're just all over the place and they're still like out here doing everything, you know? And they're like, oh my gosh, pile one literally works like 3 jobs, goes to school, and also like does like 5 charity events. And it's like, how do they do that, you know? I feel like you're always like, oh my gosh, like I'm like dying, like I can't do this shot. And then you're just like doing it anyway. So it's like, people are like, girl, like, you look kind of, you look kind of silly. And but like, I feel like people may make fun of you for it, or maybe people like kind of laugh at you for it, or they're just kind of like looking at you with a side eye, but they truly do wonder like how it is that you're able to maintain that lifestyle and work as hard as you do. Like I feel like people think that your work ethic is crazy. People wonder a lot about your work ethic, pile one. Like how do you not get burnt out? At this point, I'm asking that question. Like how do you not get burnt out? We also have Page of Swords. I do think that people feel like there is more that you want to say. I feel like people get paranoid when you talk, or like they get worried that like maybe you get that a lot. Like maybe people are always like, are you sure? Or like, you know, did you mean to say that? Or is that really what you meant? You know, like, is that your final decision? I feel like a lot of people like squeeze you for reassurance when you make up your mind, because maybe like you get like that this detached demeanor that I keep picking up on leads me to believe that people wonder like how it is like if you're being serious, you know? Like I feel like you're the kind of person that's like very, how do I say? Like you're somebody who just feels like you have more to say even when you don't. You know, people get very nervous because they can't get a clear read on you, and because of that they just like are asking for a lot of like your verbal or like your insight or like your verbal validation, you know? So like a lot of are you sure, or like is that your final decision, you know? Like are you up to it? Like you don't have to if you don't want to, you know? A lot of that. Maybe you get that a lot. And that's because people wonder what it is that you're thinking, and people wonder if like you have anything else to say, or if that like, you know, there's something more that you're keeping from them, or if you're hiding something. It causes a lot of paranoia. And I feel like with the High Priestess card, people have like a hard time like trusting their intuition or like their gut feelings when it comes to you. So as a result, people probably do like overthink a lot when it comes to you. And with the Page of Swords, people probably gossip about you, not like in a bad way. And maybe for some of you, like, it is in a bad way if you've ever heard about it. But I'm not like saying like, oh, people are talking smack about you, but more so in a way like people just like, they don't know enough about you and they feel too nervous to ask you, so they try to draw up a lot of their own conclusions. So maybe you've run into a lot of drama before, or you've run into situations where people don't allow you to like defend yourself, or people don't allow you to explain yourself, and people try to like define your circumstances for you, or try to like, you know, like define your case for you, you know? Like maybe people like really get into your business and then they try to act like they know more about your life than you, which, you know, makes no sense. But it's just like, it once again derives from this paranoia and like this uncertainty of like how you're actually feeling, how you're actually doing. And you know, like there's just a lot of questions people have for you and your thoughts, because they feel as if though like you're not saying everything that's on your mind, even though that's probably the case. But I feel like this probably applies more to other things that you keep close to your heart. I feel like there are other things that you don't really tell to people, and that's probably what they're picking up on. But because of like your detached demeanor, they assume that it's something about them, or they assume that it's something else more shallow, or something else a little bit more nonchalant, you know? We also have Queen of Cups. I feel like people feel like you're a very compassionate person. Like obviously like I've been saying like you're a very detached person and stuff like that. And whether or not that's true, I'm feeling like you give off the vibe of being detached, you know? It's not more so about like how you actually are, but like how people perceive you, or how people get their first impressions of you, and you know what that leads to and how they like think of you. But I am sensing with the Queen of Cups, like you are a very compassionate person, probably a very supportive person with this 3 of Pentacles too. So you could be the person that loves small businesses, or you love supporting, charitable causes. Like I said, you may be somebody who donates a lot, or you may be somebody, who gives a lot of charity or a lot of supports to friends, family, and anything of the sorts. And also, like with the Queen of Cups, I feel like you're like really like considerate. I feel like you're the kind of person that listens to anyone. Like, I feel like if someone comes up to your problem, you're the first one that's willing to listen, and you're the first person that's willing to, like, help in any way that you can. You're somebody who is very caring. I feel like you are very nice. But also, like, I feel like, with the person that's always listening, people start to wonder if you also need some, like, being listened to. You know what I mean? I feel like people feel like they need to check up on you more. Like, I feel like there are people that wonder, like, how you're doing, like, how you're managing, especially with, like, all the workload stuff that I've been talking about in this reading. I don't know, like, I just feel like you're, like, a January or, like, a December baby. So you could be, like, a Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius. Just, like, that vibe of, like, somebody who is very winter themed, or somebody who is very like hardworking, and somebody who pushes through very tough conditions, and like I feel like as a result people wonder like, oh, like I hope they're okay with all that workload and stuff. I feel like with the Queen of Cups, maybe you attract very emotional people, or you attract very sensitive people, and that definitely like explains a lot of the paranoia that I've been talking about. And I wouldn't even say it's like paranoia, but I just feel like that's the best way to describe it, as like an umbrella term, because I feel like some people like freak out, but others are just like, oh, like I wonder what pile one has to say. It's just like it really depends on who it is, but it's pretty safe to say that like people experience different levels of worry and like unsureness when it comes to you, like uncertainty. And that's probably because you probably do attract very sensitive or very emotional people, pile one. I'm gonna pull two more. Ooh, and King of Cups. Wow. I'm gonna pull the last card here. And Nine of Swords. What did I tell you, pile one? Literally, girl, if y'all don't know, like, we all know the Nine of Swords is literally about paranoia and nightmares and anxiety and worry. Like, what did I tell y'all? The cards, we could end the reading right here. But with the King of Cups and Queen of Cups, that definitely does, like, once again, reiterate the fact that, like, you probably do attract very emotional people. And with the Nine of Swords, like I said, like just a lot of worry, lots of anxiety, lots of like uncertainty, just like lots of like, ooh, like I wonder how pile one's feeling. I hope pile one doesn't hate me. Like I hope they're not mad at me. Or maybe people come up to you and they're like, hey, I'm really sorry about what I did, Maybe people like, maybe you have like a very particular relationship of apologies. Maybe you have people apologizing to you frequently, or maybe you like apologize frequently. But with the Nine of Swords, I do think that people really worry about, like, people may worry about you just in general, I feel like people, like, wonder, like, especially, like, your parents or people, like, from your past, people that, like, have known you your whole life, I feel really worry about you, especially. So I think parents, siblings, close friends, childhood friends, relationships, and anything of the sorts that relates to people who have known you for a good chunk of time, these people really worry about you. And maybe that isn't what you want to hear, pile one, but like I'm literally just not here to lie to you. I do think that people that really care about you worry about you, and maybe they wish that you'd open up more emotionally, or they wonder how you're feeling. And whether or not you do feel like okay or not, like there are people that like are very anxious to help you, and there are people that are very anxious to lend you a hand when possible, but I just feel like you never ask for help. Like I feel like you're the kind of person that like you can and will push a boulder. Like I don't even know, like you will weather any circumstances before you ask for help. Like you will get dragged across the gravel by the hair before you ask somebody like for help. Like you will go into like, there's like a door labeled ask for help, and you're like you're being carried into there, and you're like kicking and screaming. It's just like you're a very independent person, and I do think as a result people in your life really do wish you would ask for help more often, or people just wonder like if you need help, or like if you're doing okay, maybe financially, or like in regards to work or mentally, just anything. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna sum up your reading. Like a lot of the people in your life think about, like, I will say that your reading mostly applies to people who are closer to you or people that know you more intimately, and it doesn't really matter what the relationship is, but like I am sensing that there's a specific highlight on family members, close friends, and coworkers and bosses. They just wonder like, how much can you take, And I'm feeling like a lot of people also like get nervous about what you think of them, and so like as a result, like they just like talk about you a lot, or they're like constantly like, like running their mouth about you, like, oh my gosh, like I hope pile one doesn't hate me, So yeah, that's all I'm picking up for you, pile one. Thank you so much for watching. If the reading resonated, like, comment, and subscribe. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Again, I love you. Bye. Hello, pile 2. If you chose the Beauty Tarot, then this is going to be your reading for what do people wonder about you. I'm not gonna lie, I just finished pile 1 and I enjoy this topic a lot more than I thought I would. Like, I'm very big on which topics I choose. I don't like doing like a reading topic that I'm not like really invested into, like I hate like half like doing a reading, or like not putting as much effort into it. And like that's why I've been kind of like leaning more towards like this stripped back feeling, because I've been feeling not burnt out, but I've just been feeling really tired. And like I still love like doing readings, I still love posting, and so like I just like, I don't want to like give up on the channel, or I don't want to like step away from it. So like I just like this stripped back feeling, and I like being more honest about like how I feel like doing content. But like I don't know, what I'm trying to say is I really enjoyed this reading, so I'm excited to see what comes out for you, especially with this deck, because I haven't used this deck in a while, I feel. Yeah. I remember, oh wow, there's a card reversed. I don't like reading reversals that much, honestly. Anyways, what do people wonder about pile 2? What do people wonder about pile 2? We might have jumpers with this deck, honestly. What do people wonder about pile 2? What do people wonder about pile 2? Yep. First 2 cards. We have the Wheel of Fortune and Page of Pentacles. Alright, I think I'm going to stop shuffling there then, because that means she's ready. So I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune and Page of Pentacles, highlight on the Page of Pentacles. We also have King of Pentacles on the deck. There may be a specific emphasis on your father figure, or like people wonder a lot about like your father or like the men in your life. Maybe like some of you have like a boyfriend, or like you're in like a relationship with someone who identifies as a man, and so like I feel like a lot of people wonder about that figure. But for others of you, I'm feeling like with the Page of Pentacles and King of Pentacles, there's this highlight of like what motivates you in your career. What about like, what are you like spending your money on? How do you spend your money? Do you save your money more? Do you spend it more? People wonder a lot about that, or people wonder about like a lot of the things that you want to do, And maybe for some of you, like at the time of watching this, like with the Wheel of Fortune, I'm sensing that like maybe you go through a lot of changes in your career, or a lot of changes within like your relationships with like more masculine energies, your relationship with money, your relationship with work, career, anything Pentacles related, like with that earthy energy. So like with all this earth energy, maybe you have like, like a Taurus placement, or Capricorn, or Virgo, and with highlight on the sun, because I am talking about like the father figure and like, that whole thing. So there's also emphasis on the rising sign, but I just feel like what I'm trying to say here is like there seems to like be this thing where people really wonder about like your financial situation and like your relationship with masculine energy and masculine energies. There we go. And also with the Wheel of Fortune, I feel like people also wonder how you like cope with change, or like how you deal with changes in your life, or like how you are able to maintain such a routine even in the midst of change. I feel like you guys are very tenacious, or I feel like you guys are very like goal oriented. Just heavy emphasis on that Taurus energy. Also Libra, because I feel like with this Beauty Tarot, like it's literally beauty. So I feel like there's like this highlight on like very Venusian themes. So you could also be a Libra, or like you could also have like just a very like passionate Venus placement. I keep I keep feeling like a Taurus or like a Aquarius, Scorpio, or Leo Venus, and also like a Libra. I don't know, just like emphasis on like the Venus energy, you know, like it doesn't matter what the Venus placement is. What I'm trying to say here is like people wonder a lot about like your situations in regards to like finances. And I also feel like people wonder about like your clothing and your wardrobe. I feel like maybe you guys are very passionate about the way you dress, or people, or like you guys are like very peculiar about the way you appear. And so like maybe like you'll be at like a grocery store and you'll be full on wearing like prom dress and heels. And not because like you have prom afterwards, but because you just are the kind of person that likes to dress up and you're the kind of person that likes to look their best, you know? And you know, even if that doesn't apply to you, I'm just feeling like people still see that like you look very like done up or very expensive, or you know, very intentionally beautiful, you know? And I'm not saying like that beauty is intentional. Sometimes it can be, but what I'm trying to say is like you are a very attractive person, pile 2, and as a result people wonder a lot about like how do you dress, what are your inspirations, you know, what celebrities you look up to. I'm feeling like a lot of people wonder what your role models are or who your inspirations are. You know, I just feel like people like think a lot about like what your inspirations are. If you do have celebrity in like role models, you should comment them down below. I really look up to Ali Wong, but you know, I've been talking about her a lot today. So I just feel like there's this emphasis on the idea that like people really want to know where you get your inspiration and where like you get all of like your ideas from, especially in regards to like, you know, your outfits, you know, and different things. Maybe you guys like have like a really beautiful room, and maybe you've like posted your room, or people have like seen your room. I feel like people like, it seems to be like if you have close friends that like come over, or like close friends that like have been in like your car or something, people are like, oh my gosh, have you seen pile two's like car or like their room or like the way they dress? They're just so like cool, they're so pretty, you know. I'm feeling like maybe you guys are very like invested in social media. I feel like maybe you guys like really take pride in like your social media. I feel like you guys are the kind of people that like have like a whole aesthetic going on with your social media feed, like especially like Instagram, or maybe you're like always posting really nice stuff on your Instagram or like your Snapchat or something like that. Just something about social media and the way you present yourself is just all very deliberate and very well like curated. There we go. That's the word. You come off as very curated. You come off as somebody who is very refined, very put together, you know? You could also be like a Virgo. Oh, Virgo energy is strong here, especially in the Venus placement. You could have a Virgo Venus, but, or a Virgo rising. And I'm just feeling like this energy of like you're somebody who just like, you're always changing things up in your life, and you're always like seemingly improving upon things in your life, you know? Like it's just like, wow, I didn't know pile 2 can make it any better, but they somehow made it better, you know? You're just always improving, pile 2. We also have 3 of Swords. I'm feeling like people wonder, like, especially with the Wheel of Fortune, I almost wonder if people wonder, like, what you've gone through. And the reason I'm saying this is because I feel like maybe some of you have, like, a very, like, gothic social media, or like maybe you'll have like a very like edgy social media, or one that's like saturated in like that like that sad girl vibe, you know, like not like in a rude way, but like maybe you guys like really like listening to like really like sad music or something like that, or like your aesthetic is very like sultry or very like, you know, like seductive, you know. So like think like Lana Del Rey, or like, you know, like Marina and the Diamonds, or like, you know, just that kind of vibe, you know, of just like being beautifully sad. And I'm not saying like that you are sad. Maybe you like, you could literally just be like normal, but like what I'm trying to say here is I feel like people see that like you have kind of like this mellowed down, or like very like stripped back, or kind of like a like think cloudy day kind of vibe about you, to where like you're very peculiar about like how you like present yourself, because I feel like the aesthetics you identify with are always kind of changing, but I feel like it's kind of like the same theme, and I feel like this once again plays back into the fact that you probably are constantly improving upon your social media, improving upon like your aesthetic and what you do. So like, just like a lot of beauty oriented things, maybe you like want to get into makeup, maybe like you like buying new clothes, or maybe you really like expensive clothes. You guys probably have like a very expensive taste. If that's the case, this tarot deck's for you, because it's easily my most expensive deck out of the 4 piles today. So I'm sure you'll get some pride out of that pile too. But with the Three of Swords, I feel like with this aesthetic that you identify with comes the question that people wonder about, and like they're like, maybe people will ask like, who hurt you, but maybe not like in such like a serious way. I feel like the question is like strictly satirical, but I do feel as if though like people do notice that like maybe like you have like a very like stripped back feel to you, in the sense that like people are like, oh, like who hurt pile 2, or like are they actually sad, like are they going through something, And I also feel like okay, let's be real here. If we're gonna have the Three of Swords here and the King of Pentacles and that whole theme about father figures, maybe people wonder like if you have had run-ins with your like masculine energies, or like if you've gone through like a breakup, I'm sensing for some of you, like especially if you do make it known when you're like in a relationship, or like you make it known that like you have like a very peculiar relationship with your father, or like like masculine energies, I'm feeling like this is like a very peculiar message, because like obviously not everyone can know like what you've been going through emotionally in like your relationships, but I do feel as if though the people that find out about it do like tell other people, or they do like wonder to themselves, like they ruminate about it, and this reading specifically applies, or like this message specifically applies to them, and they just wonder like what happened in that breakup, what happened in that falling out, what happened with that, or maybe you guys just like have an absent father figure, and not to get all like deep or anything like that, but I feel like you guys can handle this message. I feel like you guys like understand, but like like I don't want to like make you uncomfortable, but like I do want to say like people wonder about it, and like as a result of like this discomfort that I'm trying to avoid, these people feel the same way. They don't want to confront you about these questions. They don't want to ask you about these personal things, People are very nosy, I must say, Pile D. People are very nosy about you. And they probably like go through your social media very often. And I feel like a lot of people like look at your social media often. Even after like they like view your story, they probably view another like 4 million times. But this could all, I think that this also applies to like not close friends, but like like those friends you have that like like you're still getting to know and stuff. I feel like those people really wonder what you've been through, or like how you're doing, or what it is that you're like experiencing, Those people are very curious about you. They want to know a lot more about you, and maybe they don't want to know, but they just realize that there's some loose ends, or they just realize there's some missing puzzle pieces. And it's not that maybe they wonder about what those are, but they're just like, I just noticed that that's not like adding up, And so like as a result, it's not more if people are actively trying to like like data mine you or anything, but it's more if people very much realize that there are things about you that they don't know and that they don't understand. And so as a result, it leaves kind of this question that they want to get answered at some point, or they think that they'll just like never find out, but they're just like, it's like one of those things where you're like passively curious about it. There we go. We also have Two of Swords. I feel like it's very interesting that like we went from like this kind of like earthy vibe with the pentacles, and then to like a more like this more like cerebral thought oriented vibe. And by saying that, I just feel like people like they're very unsure about you. I don't know, like people don't know what to make of you. People don't really understand like how to pinpoint you. Like they don't know how much of you is like true. I don't really know how to explain it. Like I just feel like people are very curious about you, and they feel as if though like they can never ask you about specific questions, I feel like maybe for a lot of you, you keep people at like arm's length, or you keep people like at like a specific distance. I feel like maybe you're somebody who really, really puts value on their personal space. I feel like getting smothered, or people like getting into your business, or like people like, like getting like looking at stuff that you do not intend to, like you do not want to be looked at, like what you put out into social media and what you put out for the world to see is exactly what you want the world to see, and only what you want the world to see. And so like, like even if you don't really get into social media like that, or like you aren't very much into things like that, it's just like the sense of like what you put out into the world energetically, visually, whatever the case may be, that is only what you want to be seen about you. Lots of Scorpio vibes too. You could have Scorpio placements. And so like as a result, I feel like people like when they look past that, it's just like this forbidden fruit that they want to get to know more of. It makes me think of like a store, and like, like everything's just like there, but then there's always that one door that's like employees only, and it's like, okay, well, everything that I need to see is out here, but I can't help but feel like there's more back there that I really want to know about. It's just like that nosy burning, like this, just like this passive curiosity that like if opportunity was presented to go look inside that door, they would most definitely step inside. I know every time I go to Target, there's always that door that says team members only, and I'm like, girl, I'm about to put on a red shirt and walk back there just to see for myself. But it's just like, like people want to know what you're all about, and people want to know like what your like long-term goals are, and people want to know like what keeps you motivated, and people want to know like more about like the things that you've gone through and the changes you've faced and how you're able to cope with said changes, and like they want to know, but they're too nervous to ask, or they feel as if though they don't have the room to ask, or they feel as if though they won't get the answers that they are looking for. And also like maybe like with the Wheel of Fortune, you guys have probably gone through a lot of major shifts in your life. Maybe you like moved, or maybe you like, like something happened, like maybe you got like a new phone, or like you lost something, you gained something pretty big too. And like as a result, people want to know like what solicited this change, and what was kind of like the boiling point that led to you making this change. Like I feel like when something major happens in your life, or when something changes in your life, or like changes in the way like what you like put out into the world, people automatically assume that something has happened, and they want to know more about this change. And it doesn't even matter if like this change was like good or bad, or like if you meant for it to happen, or if like, it's a big deal, or it's something that like, it doesn't matter how you perceive this change. It's pretty safe to say that everyone assumes like the biggest things about it, or people like, once you give like the world like an inch, people probably take a mile out of it, and they start like explaining for you, because they are so obsessed with defining you, or they're so obsessed with like figuring more out about you. Let's see, what else do we got? We also have 6 of Cups. People are very curious about like, a lot of this energy came out in pile 1. You could have been drawn to pile 1, I'm not gonna lie. But I feel like with the 6 of Cups, I'm feeling like people wonder a lot about like your childhood, or people wonder a lot about like your past, or anything of the sorts. And this specifically applies to like old friends. Okay, people wonder about like who your old friends are, and what it is that's going on in like your in your past. And simultaneously, people you've left in the past are wondering a lot about how you're doing now. I keep thinking about Deja Vu by Olivia Rodrigo. Like that scene where she's like in the music video where she's looking at all those TVs, and she's like looking at the girl, It's kind of that vibe. People who you're wondering about in your past are people that like you periodically think about. The reason you periodically think about them, or the reason you think about them, is because they are also thinking about you, Like how like in the music video, like the girl in the TV starts looking back at Olivia, and she starts looking back at them, and then she smashes the TVs, And I feel like maybe a lot of you like really are big about cord cutting, or like getting rid of your past, or like like separating yourself from the past. And so like as a result, like you probably keep a distance from your past, but your past is very much obsessed with closing that distance with you. And I think you know this, and that's probably why you might have like a very special relationship with the block button. That's for some of you, not all of you. But I'm also feeling like with the Six of Cups, like once again, people wonder a lot about your family dynamics, and people wonder a lot about like your previous connections, you know? Like people just want to know more about like your lore, you know? People just want to know more about like what it is that's happened to you. What else? We also have Two of Wands. I'm feeling like people want. There seems to be also this highlight on relationships. People might wonder a lot about your relationships, who you associate with, and also like how you make your decisions. With the Wheel of Fortune and Six of Cups and Two of Wands, I'm sensing that maybe a lot of you have made a lot of ambitious decisions, or you've made a lot of leaps of faith in your life, and people wonder it like how it is that you have made those leap of faiths, or how you were able to navigate those leaps of faith, you know? Like, oh my gosh, like pile one just like moved across the country. How did they like do that? Like, I just feel like people who aren't close to you or don't know more about you think that like you just perfectly manage all of the like inconveniences and like not shortcomings but like, you know, like disasters that happen to you, and people just feel like you handle everything so perfectly. Like you just come off as like very in control, or you just come off as somebody who has it all together even if you don't have it all together. Like you may not realize it pile one, but you could pile one, pile two, like you could literally be like laying down in bed like bawling your eyes out, but like you have to understand that all social media or like all people saw about you that day was like you smiling and just like being normal, you know? It's like people just see like the really good parts of your life, or people just assume that like your life is like perfect, or that like you have it all together, you know, or that you have everything figured out, especially like based on like what you've gone through, you know? It's just like, especially like what you have dealt with in your past, people just assume that like you are like an unstoppable force of nature and somebody who's able to overcome any changes or adversities. And you know, whether or not that's the case, it's just like people are very impressed of how you handle things, and people are very like shocked, and they wonder how like you were able to like overcome these changes and overcome like all of these hardships that have happened to you, you know? And with the Two of Wands too, I feel like people. Ooh, we also have two twos here. So we have the Two of Wands and the Two of Swords. Sorry, I just like blinked out. Oh, but with pointing that out, like two obviously like represents like duality and like relationships, at least in my eyes. So like once again, I feel like people wonder a lot about like your interpersonal relationships. People wonder who your really close friends are. I feel like maybe you don't really share your close friends that often, or maybe you are very possessive of your close friends. You could be a very possessive person, or somebody who is very like, what's mine is mine, not yours. And so like as a result, I feel like you gatekeep a lot of things, like whether that be products, you know, items, you know, like I feel like you're the kind of person that doesn't readily expose what it is that you're doing, or like you're somebody who likes to be like different or like unique, you know? And so like as a result, I feel like people are left wondering a lot about like, you know, like I keep picking up on skincare. Some people really wonder what it is that you do for skincare, and other people wonder like how, you know, like what products you use in terms of like makeup, body care, skincare. People wonder who like your close friends are, who your family members are, who in your family do you like, who in your family do you not like, you know? And also like with the Two of Wands, I'm like picking up on like this weird like routine. So like maybe people wonder like about your routine a lot, or people wonder like what you do like on a day-to-day basis, you know? Like, oh, like what is pile two doing right now? It's only like 3 p.m. Like what are they up to? Like, hey, like pile two, you know? It's just that kind of vibe, very silly. We also have the Sun. Once again, like I just feel like people feel like you have it all together. People feel like you're very happy or you're very satisfied, and that like you're just like a very prosperous person, or somebody who is just like really getting what they want. And I feel like people see that like you seem very satisfied and you seem very fulfilled by yourself, or you seem very fulfilled in the relationships that you do have. And I feel like people just like people want to know how you have overcome the things that you've overcome. Even if you still haven't overcome them, people feel like you have like dealt with a lot, or people feel like you faced a lot of crazy problems in your life, and people want to be like, how did Pile 2 do that? Like they've literally done the impossible, you know? And yeah, like I just also feel like with the sun card, you could be a Leo, or you could have like all those placements that I've been saying within your sun sign, but you could literally be like a Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. You could also be an air sign, but you could also have just like major Leo placements in your chart. And I'm feeling like just like a lot of you just like, I don't know, like people, like you see what I mean? Like it just feels like there isn't enough context. It just feels like everything that I'm saying is like, like, do you see how I'm like trying to come up with more, or like not trying to come up with more, but like I'm trying to like pinpoint it down, or pinpoint a lot of these things down. It feels like I'm just like blurting out like random little things, and I feel like that's how people are with you. Like I feel like people wonder, like they get like little bits of information about you, and they're like, these puzzle pieces do not fit. Who is Pile 2 and what is going on with them? And people are just literally wondering like what it is that you're going through, or like people want to know more about you. They're like, they feel like you're like breadcrumbing them. I'm gonna pull one more card. We also have Four of Pentacles. Okay. So remember how I said like you probably gatekeep, or you probably like are very possessive over your possessions or like your people. I'm feeling like people really sense that about you. I feel like people like, once again, like it's just like people look at you first glance and they already know that there's more to you. People already know that like there's something more to you. And these are the people that are closer to you. People who know you. Oh, I don't know how to explain this, Pile 2. Here's what I'm going to say. People that already know you, and people who know more about you, and people who are closer to you, they want to know like how you deal with the things that you deal with, and they want to know how you overcome the adversities. And people who only see you at like face value, they want to know like, they're very much curious as to what your life is like behind closed doors, and they want to know like more about like the products you use, the places you like going to, like what's your favorite spot to eat at, what's your favorite mall, what's your favorite store, what's your favorite product, what's your favorite food, just very shallow questions, because I feel like people want to know more about like your personality, because maybe you're a very influential person, or somebody who is just very magnetic, and somebody who is very big on their appearance, or like their aesthetic and their reputation. I'm just going to sum up this reading, Pile 2, by saying that you are somebody who has overcome a lot of changes and a lot of major shifts in your life. And regardless of whether or not you try to keep those things hidden, I think that a fair amount of people have seen those things about you, or they have seen that you've gone through changes. And they really want to know what these changes are, and they want to know how you overcame them. And they're very curious as to what has kept you motivated all this time, and what is keeping you motivated to keep going in the direction that you're going. And also people from your past wonder a lot about you. People that you have broken up with, people that you are no longer in contact with, they wonder the most about you, because they want to know how you're doing now. Especially for some of you, like they want to know how you're doing without them. And for others of you, just like people who are very close to you, like they want to know, like they're very curious, and they wonder how you've gone through the things that you've gone through, and still like ended up like okay in the end, like how you overcame it, how you coped. And a lot of people also like specifically wonder about like your father figure, or like how you have dealt with masculine energies in your life, and how you've overcome heartbreaks and adversities, like I said. And yeah. And some of you are probably very invested in social media, or you very much like social media, or like you just get on social media very often. People probably also wonder what content you consume, or like what videos you like watching, anything of the sorts. So yeah, that's all I'm picking up for you, Pile 2. I hope your reading made sense. If it did resonate, then like, comment, and subscribe. That was like really confusing. Like I'm shooketh. I'm excited. I feel good about it. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye. Hello, Pile 3. If you chose the lovely Omens Tarot, then this is going to be your reading for what do people wonder about you. Today we're keeping it like especially like basic, just using only the tarot today. I don't know, just sounded fun, and I've really been enjoying only using the tarot, so I'm really excited to see what comes out. Also, okay, it's the next day, when I'm filming this, because I filmed pile 1 and 2 yesterday, and I woke up earlier today. Yesterday I woke up at like 12. Today I woke up at like 10. Oh my gosh, the car just flew out. And it like changed my life. I just like bumped into the mic. Sorry, this is like a mess. Hope you don't mind. Alright. What do people wonder about pile 3? What do people wonder about pile 3? I'm honestly expecting cars to just like flop out because this deck does do jumpers. See? Okay, we have the Hermit. So I feel like with the Hermit, you could be a Virgo or just somebody who's like, maybe not Virgo, but I get that like vibe of like somebody who is like a little bit of a perfectionist or somebody who prefers to stay in their own lane because they feel as if though other people won't do it as efficiently as like you will. So like I feel like maybe you're a bit of a loner in different situations, especially like I'm getting like a highlight on like in the workplace and just anywhere where like something like is expected of everybody, so like in school, anything that's like community based. Bottom of the deck we do have King of Swords. So yeah, I feel like you give off this vibe of being somebody who is very like perfectionistic and somebody who is very peculiar about how everything is done around them. And whether or not how this like regardless of how this energy translates, it doesn't really matter if like you are like like not welcoming of people. I don't know really how to say it, but like what I'm trying to say is like you come off as like intimidating and like kind of like high standards, like won't stand your BS kind of vibe. And you could have like major RBF, you could like not, but I just feel like that's kind of like the vibe that I'm trying to lay down here. Just somebody, like when someone has RBF, it's like they're actually like the most nicest, most considerate person in the world, but like they look like they like wouldn't tolerate you at all. Like they just look like at the first hello they'd be like, ew, bye. But like the reality of it is like, like you would like carry the conversation. I don't know. But also with the Hermit card, I also feel like you kind of give off this vibe of being your own savior or somebody who likes to manage things all on their own, like I said. So like I feel like this leads to people wondering like what your standards are or what you expect or how you live your day-to-day with such high standards, And like I also feel like people want to know what your opinions are on different things, especially with the King of Swords energy here. So it's just kind of like, oh, I wonder what pile 3, thinks of. Oh, I wonder what pile 3, like wonders about, like, I don't know how to phrase it. Like, I wonder what pile 3 thinks of this, Like, I feel like maybe a lot of people ask you for your opinion, especially close friends. Close friends, I feel, are always very curious about your opinion on different things. I feel like when, like, big news has happened or when something crazy happens, the first person they want to know the opinion of is yours. They are like, oh my gosh, I have to tell pile 3. I wonder what they think of it. And I feel like more oftentimes than not, maybe you don't even, like, react that strongly. You're like, oh, like, it's just, that happened, and they're like, oh. I feel like people are always surprised by your opinions because it seems as if though you would have more criticism or you would have more to say or you'd have more context to provide, but more often than not I feel like you probably don't, because like it's just like the way you come off doesn't really match up to like the way you actually are, just because of like how you carry yourself and the way you kind of like keep your walls up, We also have 4 of Cups. You could be a very daydreamy person. I'm feeling like it makes me think of just like Virgo and Pisces, since they're like sister signs. You could have like a Pisces moon and then like a Virgo sun, or like vice versa, just that kind of like arrangement. But whether or not you have those placements, it gives me like, it makes me think of somebody who is just like, they come off as very discerning and very logical, but I feel like once people get to know you, pile 3, you're actually a lot more daydreaming and a lot more intuitive than people originally anticipated, Maybe you come off as somebody who is very analytical, and you very well could be, but I feel like you use your feelings a lot more to help you than people, realize. And it's like, even if you are somebody who relies solely on logic, I feel as if though people just like they assume that you're more logic than you actually are, Like, even if you are, like I said, like more logical, there's still a part of you that uses intuition and emotions and your feelings to navigate. So I feel like with that being said, it's just a sense of like people are very curious as to like how you navigate and how you develop opinions on things and how you get through what you have gotten through, And also with the Four of Cups. I feel like people also wonder like what it is that you're thinking about. Maybe people wonder like what's on your mind constantly, either out of worry or either out of just like curiosity, It's just it seems to like draw up a blank. Like I honestly like feel like when I look at this Four of Cups, I kind of draw up a blank because I feel like it's just like people want to know what motivates you and people want to know like what your ambitions and goals are, because I do feel as if though if you are as independent as I've laid out in this reading so far, I'm feeling like you are the kind of person who likes to keep a lot of their business confidential. I mean, who doesn't like to do that nowadays? Like, it's just the vibe. But you know what I mean, pile three. It's just like people want to know like what's going on with you, and maybe you attract a lot of nosy people or people that are constantly trying to get into your business, I feel like, like maybe you don't have that big of a platform on like social media, or maybe you don't really interact with people, maybe you literally like staying home all the time, but as a result I feel like people are always trying, like they're absolute like people who like see you, they just want to know who you are, It's like even if it's a complete random stranger on the street, they're just like, who is this, what's their name, who are their parents, Just people are very curious about you and people want to know more about you, more specifically like what you're thinking, what you think of the person in question, and what it is that like makes you like, what it is that you like daydreaming about and what you like thinking about, Like what do you envision for yourself and different things. I feel like this also applies to like bosses. So if you like, if you work at a job where you have like a boss, I feel like the boss wonders like, oh, I wonder what pile three's ambitions are, or I wonder what their visions are for the next few years and stuff, I feel like people like maybe you get that question a lot where people are like, where do you see yourself in the next blank years or something like that, I feel like people like, maybe sometimes people even worry about you, specifically like parents, and once again maybe like higher ups. They're just like, oh, like I feel like pile three, they're just like not going anywhere, I don't know what they're doing, And it's like, it's not that like you're literally not going anywhere, it's just that like you keep things so close to your chest that people feel as if though like you have like no like ambitions or no goals or something of the sorts. And so like people are just like, they chalk up a lot of random conclusions, or they just kind of like jump to conclusions because they don't really know enough, and they are just so like engulfed by the idea and like so like just like nervous because they want to know what you're trying to do or what your like goals are, and maybe for their own benefit, maybe for their detriment. It doesn't really matter the context. It's just pretty safe to say that I think that a lot of people don't know where you're trying to go with your life, and as a result people get nervous and they start worrying about you. And maybe you've had a lot of people trying to like help you and stuff, but you're like, I'm literally fine, like I'm just not telling you what I'm doing. We also have the moon. Yes, I was just thinking about this card because I feel like the moon card just like embodies that like nervousness and that like how do I say, just that anxiety and that like subtle subconscious worry. And I feel like a lot of people are very much like that with you. And once again, with that Pisces energy, you could also be a Cancer. And especially in the Mars placement, you could have like a Virgo, Cancer, or Pisces Mars. Because I feel like those like a placement like that just calls for somebody who moves at their own pace and somebody who marches to the beat of their own drum, you know? I feel like you're maybe it's very hard to get a hold of you too. Maybe like people feel as if though you lag a lot. Maybe you don't like texting, or maybe you don't like calling, or you just don't like talking to people like that. And so like as a result, I think that people worry about you a lot. I feel like you have a lot of people blowing up your phone, people who get a hold of any contact with you. They're just always probably trying to make plans with you, always trying to be around you, always trying to make excuses to talk to you. It's because they want to know what you're up to, you know? It's just like such a nosy energy. And I feel like family members and really close friends just kind of like worry about you. I'm sensing that your close friends aren't as like worried. I don't think that they're as paranoid, but I feel like family members, they definitely wonder a lot about you, especially ones that like aren't that close to you know, so like maybe like a distant relative or like a distant cousin, you know, something of that nature. And they just like, they're always like, there's this time where you'll like randomly pop up in their head and they're like, huh, I wonder how Pile 3 is doing, and I wonder if they're still at it with whatever they were doing the last time I talked to them, you know? And I feel like because maybe some people get so like invested into wondering about you, maybe sometimes people get like paranoid or like nervous, so much so to a point where they don't even realize the progress that you're making. And so maybe as a result, maybe people can be very nitpicky of you, or people constantly try to criticize you and like your motives and your actions, you know? I feel like people are always like, you should really do this because you don't want to end up like this person, or you should really do that because you don't want to do this or end up like that, you know? I feel like maybe you get a lot of that, and I wouldn't say it's because of like they're literally just, I don't know, I think that there's a bunch of different, you know, like intentions with that's with what I just said, because I feel like some people genuinely do want the best for you, but I feel like other people, like, they also feel like insecure, or they feel kind of like nervous around you, because it's like you keep such a like detached air, and it's like whether or not you are detached or like, you know, not as emotional, it's just like, you know, you carry yourself in a way that's like you don't really react very strongly to different things in your life, or you don't get overly emotional. And so I feel like people around you get very insecure because they feel like you have it all together, whether or not that is the case. And so as a result, I feel like people resort to try and bringing you down and things of that nature. And I think that like you're intuitive and smart. Like, I think that you're smart enough to understand these people. Obviously, I feel as if though you very much are aware of these people, and maybe sometimes like I'm getting kind of like this jokester energy. I feel like maybe sometimes you like entertaining these people, or you like think it's funny when you like poke fun at them, or when you kind of like mess with them, you know? That's for some of you, not all of you, but I don't know, like this playful energy just came through. I feel like you're like, you could be like a very flirtatious or like a fun person to be around. I feel like people are always shocked by like what you say, or like they're always surprised by the way you talk or the way you articulate yourself, you know? It's just like people wouldn't expect that from you, but not because they were like they had like a like a, what do I say? Like a prejudice, or like a preformed like preconceived notion. There we go. There we go. About you. And it's just like, it's not like they knew what they were expecting, or they were expecting something, but they were still surprised as a result. And so like this once again feeds into that idea that people definitely wonder about what it is that you're thinking and what you think of them, because originally their first read on you was so way off from how you actually come off and how you actually assert yourself. So it's like it kind of spirals in where people are like, oh my gosh, like who is Pile 3 and what are they doing, you know? And people probably like, I wouldn't be surprised if you've had a lot of admirers, or a lot of people like randomly catch feelings for you. Maybe you've had like random confessions, or like people just randomly shooting their shot with you, you know? It's just like, or if you don't know, I do have a video who people who wish they could shoot their shot with you. Shameless promo, shameless plug. But you know, that's besides the point. I'm just feeling like maybe you've had a lot of random people that are admiring you. I'm sensing that maybe people have even watched tarot readings on how you feel about them or how you're feeling. And it's just like, that's a very particular message, but I just feel like people get like, not like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like people get like obsessed with you, or people get like very like, you know, like oh my gosh, pile three, pile three, pile three. Like I feel like they get very like, like crazy over you or something of the nature. And I don't feel as if though it's like literally like frothing at the mouth, scratching the concrete, like on all fours, screaming, running towards you kind of vibe. But more so like in a way that's like when they think about you or they just think about you very frequently, they're just like at the store and they're like, oh, I wonder how pile three is doing. They're like driving there. Oh, I wonder how pile three is doing. They're like laying down. I wonder how pile three is doing, just kind of like that repetitive thought process of constantly wondering about you and thinking about you and like how you're feeling, what you're up to, what your goals are, and anything of that nature. And I also feel like with that hermit energy popping up here, it's just like maybe you guys are very much loners or people who aren't really interested in relationships, especially romantic ones. If that doesn't resonate, then, just leave it. But I just feel like for the vast majority of you do kind of like to keep your personal space, even if you are in a relationship. And so, like, I feel like this once again, like, further attracts even more admirers or people that kind of like look at you, maybe when you go to the store, like, people like look at you and they do like a bunch of double takes or they're always like staring at you. And I also feel as if though people just kind of like they're very drawn to you. They're very drawn to your energy. I feel like you know what I'm talking about, pile 3. I feel like people just like they can't explain it. Like if you ask somebody, why are you so drawn to pile 3? First of all, they'd be like, why are you asking me that? Second of all, they'd be like, I really can't pin it down. Like I just like want to be around them. And like I feel like maybe some of you like the way you go about relationships is very like peculiar. I'm sensing that the way that like you deal with relationships and the way you kind of like handle them is like very bespoke to you, because I feel like maybe some of you have like had some interesting run-ins with relationships, and this probably feeds into why like you are so like guarded or somebody who kind of likes to keep your distance. And I feel as if though like for some of you it could be as like big as like you've been through a really bad relationship, but for others of you I just think that maybe you've observed or maybe you have seen some really bad relationships, and as a result like you just have no desire to get into one, or you have no desire to kind of like see them out. And I feel like maybe like you'll like talk to somebody or something like that, or get to know somebody, but I feel like dating is like not like that big of a deal to you. But like I said, as a result, like you attract a lot of admirers because of that, because you are so focused on yourself. What else do we got here? We also have death. You could be a Scorpio. I was picking up on Scorpio earlier, like a Scorpio sun, like a Virgo moon. But that's where some of you know, like, I don't know, like just a combination of like a lot of water and Virgo. You don't have to have those placements, like I said, but it's for the people that need the extra confirmation, especially if you are a Virgo, because I feel like Virgos can be very, like finicky about readings like this. So bear with me. But I also feel like with the death card, I think that like regardless of like the relationship stuff I was mentioning, I feel like the death card kind of changes things, because I feel as if though wow, people have noticed that like you've gone through a lot of changes, and people have noticed that like you've gotten over a lot of things, or you have really like changed your lifestyle, especially as of late for some of you. I'm feeling as if though maybe some of you just like you like changed the way you look, changed the way you do things, or maybe you like moved, or it's just like the way you carry yourself and the way you have been living your life is so vastly different from like vastly, is that even the right word? Drastically different from how you were living it to when people knew you. I'm feeling like with the Four of Cups and the Moon card, a lot of the people that wonder about you are definitely the people that have been in your life before, or people that are no longer a part of your life, because once again I feel like you very much keep to yourself. And so like as a result, I feel like people, they really think about you. They want to know like, oh, I wonder how Pilot 3 is doing. I knew it. Like I know it could literally be anybody. It could be anybody that has been in contact with you for like more than a week, Somebody who even just knew your first name, they think about you now, because I feel as if though like your life is constantly changing and you're constantly going through like these like upheavals, or you're constantly making moves, and I feel like maybe some people find out about what you're doing and they are very surprised, because it's like it seems as if though like you're fearless, or you're somebody who is very much willing to do whatever it takes to live the life that they want, or like, like be where they want to be. And I feel as if though like as a result, people probably like really just like they're impressed, they're like, wow, I was not expecting pile 3 to do all that. And I feel as if though like your pile is like kind of funny, because I feel like we've run into the most inconveniences in this pile. Like, I dropped the cards in the beginning, I keep bumping into the mic, the freaking loud car that just passed like 3 seconds ago, and it's just like, I feel like this is signifying that like maybe you like deal with a lot of inconveniences, or maybe you face a lot of like mishaps, or a lot of like drama in your life. And I feel like people once again want to know how you kind of just like move along with it, or you kind of just like deal with it, or you kind of just like, how do I say? You kind of just cope with it, People want to know how you cope and how you like carry yourself, because like I said, I feel like with this hermit energy, people definitely notice that like you may go through things. I think that with all of the cards that I've pulled so far, it definitely suggests somebody who is in fact emotional, and somebody who does have like intense feelings. But I feel like you don't really give like, I wouldn't say like people don't notice that about you. It's like they very much understand that it's there, but they don't know how it looks like, they don't understand the imagery, or they don't know what you actually like, how you actually are when you're emotional, or when you're being vulnerable. I feel like you're able to carry yourself in such a way that people understand that you're a human being with feelings too, but you keep those close to your chest, and you like to keep it guarded, because you very much don't want to like showcase that. What else do we got here? We also have strength. People see you as very strong, and they want to know how you do it, or how you're able to tolerate as much as you do. Like I said, I feel as if though people are always thinking about you. I know I keep like reiterating that. I know I keep like constantly repeating to you like a broken record, like, oh yeah, people are thinking about you. But like, I'm just trying to get through to you, pile 3, like how much people are actually like, like ruminating about you, and they just like, I feel like it's very mindless, I don't feel as if though like the thinking and the wondering about you is like especially deep, or like, like really like serious or something like that. I just feel like people are very nosy and very curious. And I wouldn't be surprised, pile 3, if you run into a lot of gossip about you, or you've run into a lot of like random drama involving your name, and you're probably just like, girl, like how did that even happen? Like, I was literally just like laying down like on like social media, and everyone just started talking about me. You're like, I went to the store like 15 minutes ago, and then now everyone's like talking about me. Like, am I a celebrity? But with the strength card, I also feel as if though like the way you carry yourself is very like admirable. People really admire you, and some people even really look up to you, because I feel like, with how much major arcana we have here, you're just somebody who is like a very big deal, and you're somebody who knows how to carry themselves. I feel like a lot of people are very intimidated by you, or they get very skittish or very nervous around you. I feel like you have like this air of authority, or you're just somebody who just like knows how to carry themselves, or you just like really don't tolerate people being like rude to you, or people walking all over you. But I am sensing that with the strength card, like you just really know how to carry yourself, and you're somebody who has really overcome a lot of transformations in your life, and overcome a lot of hardships, and people do sense that about you. I feel like it's kind of easy to see that like the way you are, pile 3, isn't by accident, or isn't, it was by design, and it was definitely on purpose, and you definitely like carried yourself in a way that was like, you cultivated yourself. You know what I mean, pile 3? It's like every aspect of you was very intentional, because I feel like you are somebody who likes to be very authentic, and somebody who likes to, follow their own rules, and somebody who doesn't like to like be a follower, or you're like somebody who doesn't like to be mindless. I feel like you like to have your own opinions, your own everything, like your own money, your own, like just like your own stuff. I feel like you can be very possessive in that sense. I think that you can be very possessive with the things that you've invested your time into. It can really be anything, It could be like, if you have a job that you have worked very hard to get to the position that you're in, like you're very protective and very possessive over that, Like if you have built something, like maybe you like built a couch and you bought it with your money, and like that was like the first couch you ever got, you're very possessive over that couch. Maybe like you have a child and you are very possessive over your child because like, like you birthed it, or like, like you are the caregiver of that child, just whatever the case may be. It's just like things that you invest your time into, you take it very seriously, and people wonder like how you did that. And like maybe some people who don't know like about your history, or people who don't know about your business like that, they wonder why you are so possessive. I feel as if though like maybe you can be a little bit stern or a little bit like peculiar with those things, like this couch that I was just brought up, like it's just like an analogy, so like if people like get a drink and they sit on the couch, you're like, please don't sit on the couch if you're drink. People will be like, oh my gosh, why is pile 3 being so like rude to me? It's literally just a drink. But like what they don't know is that like you like spend all of your hard-earned cash on that couch, and you bought it in full, and you like built it all by yourself, so it's like you very much do not appreciate people who disrespect like different aspects of your life, especially the parts that you have invested a lot of your time into. We also have the Fool. So like with this Fool card, you notice how like she's like crying, and honestly like I feel as if though people wonder a lot about what you've gone through. I feel like people wonder if you have been through a really painful relationship, or if you've been through like a really painful situation, or if something has caused you a lot of pain, I almost wonder if people wonder if you cry at all, or like what you look like when you cry, which is like kind of weird. But I feel like this applies to like even close friends, because I feel like you don't like to show, like, once again, like I don't think you like showcasing too many emotions when you're around people, or you don't like being overly emotional or overreactive. I feel like you like to handle those things behind closed doors and in private. And maybe if someone like makes you feel comfortable enough, like you're okay with that. But like even then, it's just like people wonder like what your breaking points are, what your boundaries are, and like why you are the way you are, and not like in a like a creepy, lore kind of like mysterious LOL kind of way, but more so just like people are very curious, because I feel like the people you attract are very much people that have gone through their own things, and like they see, like that you are somebody who really knows how to carry themselves, and they very much understand that you're human like them. So they're like, oh, I wonder what pile 3 has gone through, like I wonder how they deal with their hardships, because you seem to just carry yourself so well, And I also feel like with the Fool card, maybe like people wonder about like what adventures you've started. I think that with the Death card and the Fool card, maybe for some of you, like you made like a big decision, like you made like a really big choice, and as people found out about it, they're like, how did they do that? Or like they just get very shocked, because it seems as if though every time people hear about you or get news about you, like you've made another incredibly large change in your life. We also have 7 of Swords. I'm going to pull the last card. And we also have 2 of Swords. I feel like the 2 of Swords and 7 of Swords definitely refers back to that gossip that I was talking about earlier. I really do think that like a lot of people have randomly had your name in their mouth. And I think that listen, pile 3, let's be real here. Like you are smart AF. Like you are a genius. And I do think that like everything that is being said about you. You're not dumb. And I feel like maybe sometimes you really get a kick out of what people have said about you, or like you get like really entertained by what people think of you, because I feel as if though like I don't know, like you have such a good grasp of your own identity, and you have such a good grasp of how like you are able to like make people react. I feel like you're just like very like powerful energetically and emotionally. And I feel as if though like through your hardships and transformations, you're able to like completely see through people with bad intentions, or you're able to completely see through people that are like, like not sure about you, or people who are like clearly being sneaky with you, That makes me think of like Capricorn energy. Just like Earth with water. Like Earth with Scorpio. I feel like Scorpio plus like any Earth sign just makes like somebody have like this incredible ability to like see through people, or like see through really bad intentions. And it's like it doesn't matter like if you have Scorpio in your chart or not. You could just have like a very like interesting 8th house placement. So you can have like Earth in your 8th house. But regardless of the case here, I just feel like with 7 of Swords and 2 of Swords, like people like they don't know what to like make of you, you know? They don't know how to like, they can't put their finger down on it, you know? Like they can't really like, it's just like, there's something about pile 3, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Like, you know, it's just like, they want to know more about you, but they don't know what they want to know. So like as a result, they just like kind of go in circles, you know? And I feel like maybe this is like very like, this is like, this thought process is definitely curated, and it's probably as designed to keep people away from you, whether you intend to like, you know, keep that energy around you or not. But yeah, I think I'm gonna sum up your reading by saying that like people wonder a lot about like what you've been through, and they wonder about how you're doing and like what it is that you're thinking and how you feel about them, because I do feel as if though like because you have such high standards, people get nervous around you. But I feel like you're surprisingly like magnanimous, you know? Like I feel like people are always surprised by how like friendly and charming you are, but it's just like they still get nervous because they feel as if though there's something else brewing beneath the surface. And I feel like this has led to a lot of gossip about you, or people who are always talking about you, or people who always have your name in their mouth, you know? But I feel like, you know, like a lot of this, like a lot of what I'm saying, I feel like your whole reading has just been me confirming what you already know because you're just that smart. But you know the vibes, pile 3. So thank you so much for watching. I hope the reading resonated. I'm sure you know if it did or not. But I'm assuming if you made it this far, you're not somebody who wastes their time. So, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. But other than that, thank you so much for watching again. I love you. Bye. Hello, pile 4. If you chose the Ethereal Visions Tarot, then this is going to be your reading for What Do People Wonder About You? So, we're just doing tarot cards today. I've really been loving this. Oh my gosh. I've had so much fun in all of these readings. Not that I like usually don't have fun, but you know, like that was especially fun. I was not expecting that. But fun fact, pile 4, this is actually like my second ever tarot deck. I remember, oh my gosh, like I remember like when I first got this deck, I was like shooketh because I was like, oh my gosh, the guidebook only has keywords. It doesn't have like an in-depth explanation of each card. And the first deck that I got was the Mystic Mondays tarot deck, and it had like different names for things. So like instead of like the Princess of Cups, it would say like, or instead of Page of Cups, it would say like Princess of Cups. And so when I got this deck and it was called Page of Cups, I was like, what does this mean, y'all? I was just very confused. I was just like, oh my god, y'all, like what do I do? Obviously, like I'm far along in the journey. I know what the card means, but like at first it was a huge learning curve for me. Alright, what do people wonder about pile 4? What do people wonder about pile 4? What do people wonder about pile 4? Okay, this card wanted to come out. We have 4 of Swords. So I feel like with the 4 of Swords, people want to know how you like rest. I feel like you come off as like a very laid back person, or somebody who just like really likes leisuring. But oh, we also have 8 of Wands on the bottom of the deck. It kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, pile 4, I feel like there's a lot of details that you don't really disclose to the public eye in regard to like your goals and ambitions, and therefore as a result it doesn't really look like you are constantly working, or it doesn't look like you're constantly like moving somewhere. And like not in like a rude way, but people just like want to know like, oh my gosh, like I feel like pile 4 is like always resting, or on the flip end of that, like you're always working, you know? It's just like I feel like you're a very extreme person, or I feel like you're somebody who, you know, doesn't like to do things halfway. I feel like you're somebody who likes to get things done very thoroughly. But I'm feeling like with the 4 of Swords, people want to know how you rest and like how you recuperate and what your thought process is on different things, because I feel like you're somebody who maybe takes breaks, or you're somebody who like goes on hiatuses for long periods of time. Like maybe there's periods of time where you just like go ghost and you don't talk to anybody, or there's periods of time where you don't like post on any social media, or like you aren't always talking to people, you know? What is that? But anyways, and like, so like therefore as a result, people want to know like what it is that you're doing in that period of time, you know? Or like, really, girl? Anyways, sorry, I'm just like so distracted. Literally in pile 3, there was like a motorcycle, and I was like, this is so annoying. But I feel like people just like they want to know like what you're doing in the periods of time where you're not talking to people, you're not like, putting yourself out there, whether that be going out, getting on social media, posting on it, talking to friends, like going to gatherings, anything that involves going out or like being around other people. I feel like when you're by yourself, people want to know like what it is you're doing in that time. Like people want to know like what do you do like when you're just like sitting there, So like if you're like at work, your coworkers are like, I wonder what pile 4 does when they like go home. Or like if you're like school, they're like, I wonder what pile 4 does when they go home, Just like people in different parts of your life wonder what you do in the parts of your life that they are not involved in. And like it draws up a lot of blanks, Like people wonder about your day-to-day routine a lot. And people want to know like how you pamper yourself or like how you take care of yourself, Maybe you're very big on like skincare or like you're very big on, like body care or you're very big on your health in general. I feel like you're somebody who's very conscious of those things or you're somebody who just like comes off as like naturally health conscious whether or not you mean to be. It doesn't mean that like you're on like a crazy diet, working out and stuff like that. You just come off as somebody who is like a little bit health conscious and you do know a thing or two about taking care of yourself. And so like as a result, some people really want to know about your regimes and like your routines because like you seem to like know what you're doing and you seem to know how to carry yourself in those aspects of your life. You know how to take care of yourself. And I also feel like people wonder if you like take baths or if you like taking baths or if you just like like you like taking care of yourself in that way, or like people want to know like what your self-care regime is, like something about that, like they're just very curious. And with the 8 of Wands on the bottom of the deck, I'm feeling like some people like they really are curious about like how you have come up so fast. Something about speed, something about like where you are now. It seems as if though you got there very quickly or you got there very like like fast, like just like at a rapid speed. Like I feel like people feel like where you are now, like you got there really fast. Like it's just like, and maybe you did honestly, but people want to know how you did it or they're very just like curious. And I feel like this leads to a lot of gossip about you or people like being like, oh my gosh, like pile 4, like like if you have like a lot of followers on like social media, like oh my gosh, pile 4 like bought all their followers. Or like if you have like a really nice job, people are like, oh my gosh, pile 4 like knows the boss's like son and like they got down with them, like just like the craziest rumors to invalidate your progress and invalidate like your speed because people are just so like alarmed by how you like seemingly rose to stardom out of literally nowhere. And that makes me, I'm picking up a lot of earth vibes from this pile. So like you could be like a Taurus, Virgo, or a Capricorn. But yeah, let's pull another card. We also have the Hermit. Literally, what did I just say, girl? I feel like you are, honestly, like pile 3 got the Hermit too, but I feel like the way the Hermit pulls in this pile is a little bit different in the sense that like I feel like you don't really come off as somebody who is a loner. You very much could be, but I feel like the Hermit card is referring to the fact that you're somebody who seemingly kind of like did everything that I just mentioned, about like the speed and stuff, like by yourself, like people are like, oh my gosh, I feel like pile 4 like got no help. I feel like maybe you are a person that does struggle with asking for help or somebody who does not like asking for help. I feel like you will literally like explode if you had to ask somebody for help. Like I just feel like you like to do things yourself and you rely on yourself a lot. Maybe you could be a little bit hyper independent. But with the Hermit card too, I feel like you also have like this spiritual energy about you. You could be a tarot reader or you could be somebody who who collects decks or something like that. But I just feel like you're very invested in the occult or like maybe a religion for some of you. But that makes me just feel like you're somebody who just like you're somebody who is very spiritual. And I feel like people feel like, how I was talking about you seemingly take these hiatuses. I feel like after you take these hiatuses, you seemingly come out of them just like a lot more knowledgeable and a lot more like you have more wisdom and you know a thing or two more than you did the last time these people saw you, Like, I feel like you're very big on doing your inner work, and you're very big on, like, like shadow work and, like healing and anything of that nature. So I feel like people want to know, like, what happened in that hiatus to where you came out, like, like, you came out like floating in the air with your knuckles dragging across the ground. Like, people want to know, like, what happened, like, why are they like transcending, like, like, I feel like people just like, they get very surprised because, like, one time, like, they're talking to you and you're like going through a breakup and you're like ugly crying, like mascara running down the face in a wedding dress, and the next time they talk to you, you're just like floating, I don't know, like, you're like zen. So it's like people want to know, like, about more about your self-sufficiency and how, like, your inner dialogue is, and how you like cater to yourself, how you take care of yourself, how you nurture yourself. Because, like, I feel as if though, like, whatever it is that you're doing, it obviously shows that it works. So it's like people are like, okay, what's the tea, like, what's going on, like, what am I missing out on here? And it's like, it's kind of like this humorous energy. I feel like close friends like understand your routine, or people like that, like, you decide to keep in your life, because I do feel as if though, like, if I am picking, like, if the earth energy is correct and you do have those placements, I feel like you decide to surround yourself with people who just get it, and you don't have to like overly explain yourself. And so, like, as a result, I feel like people, like, these people who know about your cycles, they find it a little bit humorous the way you carry yourself and the way you kind of like go in and out of hiatus. And they're just like, oh, there they go again, like, oh wow, like, they're on their hiatus again, like, we just gotta wait a few business days and they'll be back. I feel like maybe even you find a little bit of humor in it, or you find a little bit of like, like satire in it, because it's just like, oh, BRB guys, like, I'm gonna go have a spiritual awakening, and everyone's like, okay. But I also feel like with the Hermit card, like, maybe you are somebody who likes, it seems as if though, like, you like to do things alone, or like if you are like doing something, you only like to do with like one or two people. I feel like you're not like a big groups kind of person. I feel as if though, like, one-on-one is definitely like your vibe, or you're just somebody who, like, if you're in a large group of people, I don't think you necessarily mind, but I feel like maybe like you just like to keep it a little bit more like minimalistic. I feel like you're a quality over quantity kind of person, so it's just like you'd rather have one really good friend instead of like three okay-ish friends. And I feel like this translates to different aspects of your life, especially with me talking about self-care earlier. So maybe you have like very expensive taste, or like you have like, like very expensive things, or like you have like, like, the very, like, the finer things in life, and you very much are drawn towards those. And so, like, as a result, I feel as if though people just kind of like also wonder about your opinion. People will be like, oh, hey girl, like, this new perfume came out, like, what do you think of it? And I feel like you like these questions. I feel like you're like, I don't know, because like with Virgo being ruled by Mercury, you could be like a huge conversationalist, or somebody who does like speaking to people, but like only in like, like small dosages, because like I said, I feel as if though like too many people can probably exhaust you. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people want to know about your opinion on different things, or people want to know like what you like to do. Maybe people ask you a lot, like, what are your favorite restaurants? What's your favorite, shoe brand? It doesn't really matter. Just things of that nature. We also have the Hierophant. I think it's kind of interesting that we pulled literally Taurus and Virgo, or like the cards are ruled by those. So the card said it, not me. I also feel like with the Hierophant card, people like once again want to know what your beliefs are, or like how you carry yourself when it comes to like your beliefs and like your practices. And I'm feeling as if though this applies very differently depending on who you're asking. I feel as if though, like, if it's just like a random person like on the street, they'll just be like, oh, I wonder, what they believe in. I wonder if they believe in God, or if they believe in, if they're like a spiritual person, things of that nature. But I feel like if you're asking somebody who knows you more at an intimate level, they're like, oh, I wonder how Pile 4, just like, I wonder how they go about their routines and how they integrate their beliefs into their everyday routine, or how they integrate that into their hiatuses and things of that nature. Because like I said, I feel like the people who get close enough to you, understand your routine and how you function. So like as a result, they very much are aware of the fact that you could be somebody who's very into the occult, or you have like a lot of superstitions and beliefs, and they feel as if though like those definitely play a role in your hiatuses or in the way that you take care of yourself, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive everything around you, you know. And they just want to know like, how do these things that like you like turn to, and how do these things that like you believe in and, you know, like give the light of day, like play into your everyday life and how you treat yourself, you know, like how did it help you, how does it, you know, like get you going, you know, like what about it intrigues you, you know. And so it's like a lot of that. And I also feel like with the Hierophant card, like here, it also, people also probably wonder like what schools you went to, or like if you have gone to school, or, you know, like if you are in school, people are like, I wonder what major they're doing, you know, like I wonder that. Or like I also feel like a lot of random people who don't know you very well want to know what your occupation is, or like what you do for a living, you know, or like what you do for work. It could very well deal with this like occult, like reading tarot and stuff like that, but that's for some of you, not all of you. I just keep getting a strong message about that. But for others of you, I do feel as if though like you work like a very like, you know, like service oriented job. So you could be like a nurse, or somebody who wants to be a nurse, or you could be somebody who is like really into like helping other people. So like you could work like a job that like focuses on helping people. So you could be like a front desk person, you know, just like helping people find the right path, whether that be just like, you know, like, oh, down the hall, door on the left. Or it could be like, oh, like this is what you need to release in order to get your spiritual awakening, you know. It's just like, it doesn't matter like the context. What matters most is that like I feel as if though like a lot of you do like being there for people, and you like helping people in any which way you can. And I feel like a lot of people have asked you for help, or have really turned to you for assistance, you know. And that definitely, like with the Hierophant card, I don't know, like the Hierophant card just like brings up a lot of different things, especially with the Hermit card, because it's just like the Hierophant deals with like community and you like religious like practices and things of the nature, but the Hermit card is like, you know, like about being by yourself and like soul searching, you know. So I feel like these two kind of things kind of apply together, in the sense that like maybe you guys like to teach, or maybe you guys have a knack for teaching. You could be a Sagittarius, with that being said, so like you could have major Sagittarius placements in your chart. And so like, because I feel like Sagittarius just loves teaching, you know. I feel like I'm a Sag rising, and so like I freaking love helping people. I love teaching people and like expressing my values, you know, and I take great pride in them. And you could take great pride in them too, you know. I feel like you love conversation, but I feel like on the flip end of that, it's just like you have like very clear boundaries on how you like, you know, communicate these beliefs and stuff. I feel like you don't tolerate people walking all over your beliefs, or you don't tolerate bigots. I mean, who does nowadays? But you know what I mean, Pyle? For I feel like you have like an especial, like you especially are just not the one when it comes to like being discriminatory, or being like, you know, like that pyramid scheme. I just feel like you're not into it. What else? We also have strength. People notice that like you're very strong, and I feel like with the Hermit card, you know how I've been like constantly like reiterating this like hiatus thing. People wonder, like, once again, like they want to know how it is that you always seem to come out on top against like all of your problems and all of your hardships, you know. Like people are very curious about these things, and they want to know like what's good, you know. Like that was so aggressive, but they just want to know like what you're all about, and how you've overcome the issues that you've overcome. And especially like family members, or people that like you went to school with, or people like you work with, you know, just anybody that you're like related to in like a Hierophant theme, you know. Because like obviously, like, you know, like what I was talking about, like people in like your community and stuff like that, they really want to know your opinions, and they really want to know like your beliefs and like your perspectives on different things, and how you seemingly overcame a lot of like the negativity that was possibly thrown your way, you know. And it's like a very like kinship kind of vibe, you know. Like it's just like people, you know, like when you're in a church, like you like turn to the person next to you, and it's just like you want to know so badly like what is their perspectives on the Lord, and they want to know like all of those things, you know. And you know, like I'm not somebody who is like very big on believing, like I'm like, I don't know how to say it, because I feel like religion is like a very touchy subject depending on who you're asking. But I do want to be very transparent in saying that like I don't really believe in God. And so like as a result, like I feel like there's like a lot of like tension when in mentioning religions and stuff like that, because I feel like people like are very protective over their religions and their beliefs, rightfully so. But I feel like this kind of like translates into this reading in the sense that like I feel like you don't really like asking people on their beliefs and what they believe in, and maybe like as a result, like you are kind of left with this burning curiosity of other people, and other people are left with their burning curiosity about you. But I feel like more so the latter than the former, because I feel like people really want to ask you like what your beliefs are and like how you perceive them. Like I was saying, like you're in a church, you like turn to the person next to you like, oh, like what is your opinions on God, and like what do you believe in, like how do you apply that to your life, and so it's like, like, or like, you read tarot too, like you ask other tarot readers like, oh, like what's your opinions on tarot and how do you like reading tarot, possibly what's your favorite tarot deck, things of that nature. It doesn't really matter like what subject it is. It's pretty just safe to say that like I feel like people like that are within your community or people that know of you, like, and they feel as if though like you resonate with their beliefs and stuff like that. They want to know like what your beliefs are. They want to know more about your philosophies and more about your perspectives, And I feel as if though people just kind of like they want to know more about that about you, and they want to know how you applied these perspectives and these beliefs into overcoming what you've overcome and how it helped you. So yeah, especially like people like within your community, like I'm getting a specific emphasis on that. They really want to know like how you integrated it and how you went through your awakenings and your, like epiphanies, whether it have like that spiritual or like religious air to it or not, it could literally just be like, like how did you realize that you need to get over your sugar addiction, or how did you realize that you needed to stop drinking soda, things like that, like people want to know like how you overcame those things, because I feel like you very much are somebody who's gone through a lot, especially with the strength card. So yeah, what else? We also have 8 of Cups. Literally, I feel like the 8 of Cups is just referring to what I just said about like leaving things behind, and just like what you've gone through and what you have tolerated in this lifetime. I'm feeling as if though like people want to know more about your past too, and I feel like people really wonder about like what you've gone through and more of like your background, I feel like this applies across the board. I feel like it doesn't really matter who is going to be asked here. It could literally be like your own mother, it could be like a sibling, it could be like your spouse, it could be like a random person on the street, it could be your friend. It doesn't matter who it is. It could literally be the cashier at your local pharmacy. It's just like all of these people want to know what it is that you've gone through it, and like like what you have been through and what your past looks like. It's like obviously these people wonder at different levels, because I don't think that like your friend wants to know it just as much as the pharmacy cashier, but you know what I mean. And I'm feeling as if though like you have definitely tolerated a lot in this lifetime, and you've definitely overcome a lot of hardships, and seemingly by yourself. And so like as a result, like these people are like, oh my gosh, like who is Pile 4, and like where do they come from? Especially since like you seemingly came out of nowhere, And I think that this applies in different ways, because I feel like maybe like where you live or something of the like something of that nature, maybe you don't really like fit in, but not like in like a rude way, but more so in a way that's like, you look very otherworldly, or you look like you are clearly not from that area, or you just look like you have come from like a different planet or something. And so like this makes people wonder even more like, why here, like why did you decide to come here, like I wonder like what drove this person to move to where they live now, or like where do they live, like are they even from here, And we also have 2 8s here, so I feel like your life seemingly like is on a cycle, or like you seemingly go through a lot of cycles in your life. And I also feel like you have like a special relationship with like transforming. And also with the 8, you can have like a specific 8th house placement. I don't know, like I feel like you have like a very like potent 8th house placement, so like maybe like a water sign or like an air sign in your 8th house. I don't know, but let's pull another card here. We also have Wheel of Fortune. So lots of major arcana I'm noticing. We have 4, but I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune, like once again, like, you've gone through a lot of changes. I also feel like people want to know how you deal with change or how you kind of like react to change, you know? I feel like people want to know, like, oh, like, you know, like this happened in the world. Like, I wonder how Pile 4 is reacting to it. I feel like this one can be a little bit more petty or a little bit more trivial, you know, depending on the context. Like, people could be like, oh my gosh, did you hear about the new laws that they implemented? How do you feel about those? Or it could be as small as, did you see the new iOS update? Like, how do you feel about it, you know? It's just like, I feel like people want to know more about your opinion on different changes and different shifts in life, whether that be the new iOS update or the new laws, you know, anything in between. It doesn't really matter. Like, when a major change happens, I feel like you have like a very peculiar reaction to it, or like you have like your own like philosophical beliefs and perspectives on it, or like you have like a very like criticizing eye for it, you know? And not like in a rude way, like, oh, you're criticizing, like, yeah, not like that, but more of like, you clearly have like your own opinions because like you have like a very strong, you know, backbone, and you very much aren't afraid to speak your mind and, you know, say what you believe in, even if that means stirring controversy or like causing something, because I feel like you very much stand by your beliefs. And so, like, as a result, I feel like people get very curious about what you're gonna say, and maybe sometimes people feel as if though, like, news or like drama isn't properly addressed unless they get your opinion on it, you know? It makes me think of like the beauty community in like the late 2010s, of like, if this guru didn't speak on it, then like, you know, like, we were all waiting on that one guru to speak on it, you know? And like, obviously the beauty community like has gone up into flames, but like, it's just like, what I'm trying to say by like bringing that up is by saying that like, you are somebody who holds like a very high opinion, and you are a very influential personality whether you realize it or not. And so as a result, people really want to know, and they really wonder about like your perspective on things when they come out, and all of the big changes that are going on in the world perpetually. And like, they just want to know more about like your opinion, you know? And they just want to know like, oh, I wonder how Pile 4 feels about that, you know? So I'm just like trying to move these down because I realize that you can't see them, and that bothers me. But I'm gonna pull 2 more cards before we kind of wrap things up here. We also have 6 of Cups, and also the Page of Cups. So remember what I was saying about the Page of Cups earlier? That was so hilarious. Now it literally came on the reading. Anyways, I feel like with the 6 of Cups and the Page of Cups, more so than the 6 of Cups, I feel like people wonder a lot about your childhood, because I feel like, once again, with the 8 of Wands and like this Hierophant card, you seem to be a very wise soul, and you seem to like have so much more knowledge for your age, you know? I feel like, you know, like, depending on your age, it's just like you act twice that age, you know? It's like, it doesn't even matter. It's just like you come off as very mature and somebody who has very much been around the block, and somebody who knows a thing or two about living this life out. And so like, as a result, people want to know like, you know, was Pile 4 all like, did they just like, were they just born this old and like this knowledgeable, or like did they like go through something, you know? And they want to know more about that, and they want to know like, oh my gosh, like, what you've been through, you know? Like, what caused you to be the way that you are and be so like knowledgeable as the way you are now, you know? And like, what made you so like intelligent? And I also feel like with the Page of Cups, I feel like you're a very like big surprise. I feel like when people see you, it's seemingly like a very like potent surprise. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, people don't expect you to come into their life, and people don't really expect to see you when they do see you. Like, I just feel like, once again, like with that hiatus energy, I know I keep talking about it, but it's just like, you have to understand that plays a big role in how like people perceive you and what they wonder about you. But with the Page of Cups, I feel like people feel like you seemingly come out of nowhere, you know? Like, 8 of Wands energy again. Like, people feel like, you know, like when you talk to them, when you text your friend, they're like, oh my gosh, like, you came out of nowhere, Pile 4. Or like, you know, when you show up at a gathering, they're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting you to show up, you know? It's just like, you work on your own schedule, and you're somebody who likes to move at their own pace. You could have like an interesting Mars placement. So you can have like, did I already mention this in this pile? I don't know, it's been a while. But like, I feel like you could have like a very like procrastinating Mars placement, specifically like Pisces, or like a water sign in the Mars, or maybe even like an air sign. But I just feel like, regardless of whether or not you have a placement like that, I just feel like what I'm trying to say is like you're somebody who runs on their own schedule and you're somebody who likes to do things on their own accord. I feel like you really value your own liberty and you really value your freedom. So like as a result, I feel like people like they don't really expect much of you, and not like in a bad way, but more so like they understand not to like put too much on you because like you aren't gonna just like bend over backwards for them. So like as a result, I feel like people are very surprised when you show up to something or when you like show up at all, because like like they don't really know what to expect from you. And it's not like they can't rely on you or they don't rely on you or something like that. It's just like they understand that like being around you or like having you around is very much a privilege, or like like very nice and kind of like a luxury. It's like I feel like you maybe often like you're kind of like a guest of honor or somebody who is somebody like a VIP. So yeah, I think I'm gonna sum up your reading pile 4 by saying that like you're somebody who has gone through like a lot of like different things in your life, whether that be hardships or like blessings, and like as a result it seems as if though like the way you like came up was very sudden, and the way like you have popped up in people's lives and minds, and how you like the way like people started wondering about you just seemingly came out of nowhere, and they randomly just started thinking about you. And I feel like they wonder more about like your beliefs and your practices, what you've gone through, and how those beliefs and practices kind of like applied into getting over these things. And they really wonder more about like how it is that you're able to like regenerate yourself and heal yourself, and just come back from hiatuses and come back from like deep periods of rest and soul searching even better than when like before you went into it. People just want to know like how did pile 4 like do it. So yeah, that's all I'm picking up for you, pile 4. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the reading resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, once again, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.